Welcome to In the Light with me, Anna Isabel, and I am an analytical hypnotherapist. Today, I have a fellow therapist, spiritual teacher, and many other things. It's Brigit Finklaire. Welcome, Brigit.
Thank you, Anna. It's lovely to be here.
So the last time you were here, we were talking about your wonderful book, Red Dress, and many people really enjoyed that interview. Today, we're going to be talking about your other project, which is the Bone Circle. So what is it? Is it a course? What is it?
It's a training program. I think that's the best way of describing it. So in it, this is why I sort of say that I'm a spiritual teacher, because I'm teaching a whole lot of different things that integrate together to create the Bone Circle. And when I first taught it, it was done in person. So I would have a group of people, and there's a lot of practical learnings and understandings and techniques and exercises, if you like, within the Bone Circle. So it's much easier to have a group of people in the room, and then they could all pair up and work with these techniques and road test them. But I'm in the process of upgrading the whole thing and putting it online and making it accessible by Zoom and as watching them online videos. However, I need to kind of overcome that. You can't really do that on your own, because as it says, the Bone Circle, it's a circle of people, and you do need to work with other people. But essentially it's a training program. It can become very complex, and in fact it did become more complex, and the deeper you go into some of those concepts it becomes too complex, and I think a lot of people got overloaded. So what I'm wanting to do now is actually simplify it, but have different levels. Originally it was one whole training program over 12 months, 12 different sessions over 12 months, and I want to simplify that and have it as 5 different levels that you can dip in and out of. So you'd have to start at level 1, but you would then take what you want to in bite-sized pieces, practice with that, understand it before moving on to the next bit, because as it advances it can get quite technical, quite complex. But it's just complex to teach it. To do it is easy. It's like everything else, isn't it, in life? You know, it's quite easy really to meditate, but it's not. It's complicated to explain things. So yeah, so it's a whole training program, which is a transformation as well. It's an absolute transformation. It's a hero's journey, and it becomes a way of life. So it's not just like you going to learn a few techniques that you're going to integrate into your life. This is why I say it's life-changing in the true sense of the word, because you cannot do that training and continue with it and keep your old way of life, because they don't work. So you can't have, here's my life here and I'll just do Bone Circle and it's over here and I'll just add it on, which is what we do with many other trainings. We go, oh well, we're just going to learn to do this and we'll add it into the life. But it's not. It's a new way of thinking and being and doing to create what you'd love.
So what is the aim for an individual who takes on this journey?
It can be whatever they want it to be to some degree, because we work with sort of truth bombs, if you like, or premises, which are the bones. And the first one is that we are all powerful, way more powerful than we believe, and that we have everything within us to make the right decisions and choices to create what we'd really love. So for some people, they're only going to dive to a shallow level, if you like, with the Bone Circle, and that's absolutely fine. If all they want to do is get out of a challenging situation, say, or they've been very frustrated in one area of their life, they can start to just shift that and work with some very simple things around choosing and intending and committing to creating. Just as an artist would create a picture, or a cook might create a cake, say. You're choosing to make a chocolate cake, and then you're choosing your recipe and you're choosing your ingredients and you're making it. At the end of the day, you've got a chocolate cake. But that's a creative process, and we can apply creative process to your life. So some people are just going to take it very simply. Other people are going to dive deeper. But for me, as the architect, if you like, and creator and founder of the Bone Circle, at its purest level, it's for people to follow their soul purpose. to do what their soul has come here to do, to not only know what their purpose is, because I think there's a lot of people go, oh, I know what my purpose is, as if it's some big thing out there that they've got to work towards. But it's actually to live your purpose. It's to know who you really are, both in your programmed, conditioned you that sabotages you, and in your greater self, your luminous soul self. To really, really understand that there's always these two factors of you at play, which can be in conflict. In fact, we're very often conflicted as human beings, and to understand that. And at the purest level, it's for you to really, really come here to live the life you came to live, to learn the lessons you as easily and quickly as you can that you came to learn, but most of all to express your own divinity through your unique set of skills. Now, we hear that a lot, don't we, in spiritual teachings. We hear that you're unique and you've come here to do, and the way you write a book is different to how somebody else writes it, but the way you do hypnotherapy is completely different to how they do it, and we're all here to express, but we don't always understand that. And I think what the bone circle does is string together the pearls of wisdom, because that's often what we do on a spiritual journey or on a journey of self-healing or personal development, because you could look at it as all of those things. We take this pearl, that pearl, that pearl, but then we've got a handful of pearls, but we don't know how they fit together. And the bone circle fits the whole lot together, so you can go, that's why we do this. That's why we have to be mindful. This is why we use intuition. That's why we're conditioned, and this is how we heal things. So it pulls it all together to make sense and give your life direction. But it's not a pushing. I've got to make, there's not a Tony Robbins-y, I know he does some fabulous work, but it's always got to get to this goal, and you've got to make, you've got to put massive effort in and then burn out. It's not like that. You might not want to be creating huge money or success. What you might want to create, say, is a loving relationship or a family.
So it sounds to me that what you have there is a program for self-discovery, understanding, and then for, there's a word I don't use very often, self-manifestation, so that you are able to then express what you are discovering about yourself. And it's not a course, because that's kind of finite, but this is a program of change for yourself and growth, I guess, would be a good way to describe it.
Yeah, and it gives you all the tools you need to continue living that life if you'd like to. But there's no musts, or you've got to do this or you've got to do that. There's only, I offer this. It's like, you want to go from, I don't know, London to Bristol. We were talking about that in the other interview. If you want to go from London to Bristol, you can make a choice how you go there. Are you going to go by train? Are you going to go by plane? Are you going to get on the M4? Are you going to go on the M3 and go that way instead through Bath? But for sure, if you go on the M1 and head north, you're not going to get to Bristol, but it's always a choice. So with the bone circle, it's giving you all the tools you need if you want to take that journey and make those choices, and you go as far as you want to go, and you'll learn and grow on that journey.
Well, it's made me think of the title for this podcast, which is, of course, In the Light, Growing Your Soul. And
yeah, lovely.
The whole purpose of this podcast is to help people find different means by which they can grow their soul. And that's exactly what you're doing in a very different way. It's very much a hands-on teaching kind of way, whilst giving people the room to explore within themselves. So this is a very exciting way to work.
It is. And what I think, the individual and how they take it and how far they want to dive with it, how deeply they want to dive with it, is going to depend on what they've already done and how much they've grown their soul and how much in the light their soul is. And you'll find, when I was training, that maybe half the people that I was training would continue with it and completely change their lives and say, this is a way of life and I'm never going to go back to the old way because this is so much better, even though there's challenges and things to learn and you're growing, and that's part of the hero's journey. You go into the abyss before you're resurrected by the power of love. So there's that. And then you'd have maybe a few people who just came for the program to maybe just reorient themselves into a slightly other direction, and then they'd leave it and carry on that path. And then you had some people who just kind of thought that they were going to be able to be spoon-fed everything and everything was going to magically change. I was going to wave my magic wand, then found out that actually had to do some self-examination, and then they did have to take some risks, so they just have to step out their comfort zone, and maybe their own greatness and their own intuition would tell them things that they don't want to hear. Because people, it's that thing about, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, because this is what happens. People arrive at the Bone Circle thinking, great, I know what my soul purpose is, you know, I'm going to, whatever it is, I don't know, I'm going to run a retreat, I'm going to live on a yacht, or whatever it is. They've got this idea of what they're going to do, and then they come along to the Bone Circle, and their own greatness, their own soul is going, no, you won't really like that. This is what you really want to do. In fact, I had this with someone who had trained to be an actor, and it wasn't happening. And when they did the Bone Circle work, they actually were afraid of doing it, because deeply they knew that it might take them away from this dream that they'd had for many, many years to be an actor. And actually, the Bone Circle took her in the direction of much more of what screenwriting, directing, filmmaking, theatre. I mean, it was the whole thing. It wasn't just about acting, and there was still acting somewhere in there. And what was so obvious is that she's incredibly creative. And if she'd just been given a script with a load of lines to act, she would have felt very trapped in her expression. Whereas being able to write and direct and shape things and create things allows her free reign of creativity. So once she got used to the idea, greatness takes her on another path. But sometimes people don't like what their own greatness is showing them, so they shy away. I did have a lady that did that with the Bone Circle. She'd wanted to run a retreat, and what we got with her was that her greatness actually just needed her to slow down because she was burning out, and really just wanted her to walk on a beach and do nothing, and wanted her to really move into the health arena and become like a alternative health coach. Working intuitively and with sort of functional medicine and that sort of thing to become an alternative health coach. And that's what I'd said to her. She went, no, I'm not going to do that. I want to run a retreat. Anyway, she just rejected the entire thing. And this was when she did this was about 4 years. I'm not going to give any names away, obviously, but this was about 4 years ago now, I think. And then recently she left me a message saying, you know, you always said I was going to be, well, I've just resigned from my, horribly stressful job, sales job or whatever it was, and I've enrolled on Patrick Holford's this, that and the other, and I'm doing this health coaching, and I absolutely love it. And that's the thing, is people won't always take what they see, but when they have the courage to take the actions towards what their truth is, that's when they go, oh my God, I love my life, even though their life's not going to be perfect. Because that's the point, isn't it? That nobody's life is perfect. We're all going to have ups and downs. We're all going to have bad days. But if you've got an overarching direction and that you at least enjoy doing what you do for a living, or what you do for most of your life, even if that's just looking after children or looking after a garden or being a housekeeper, it doesn't matter what it is. If you have inherent joy in what you're doing, you're better able to weather the storms.
Well, we are all very fortunate that you have found the joy through doing what you're doing, because your passion is very clear. So Brigit, thank you so much for joining us today and talking about the Bone Circle.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been really interesting to try and condense it down, because normally I would have like a 3-hour introduction to really explain it, but it's been lovely to have a look at what it's really about. Thank you.
If you want to get in touch with Brigit, the website is
www.brigitfinklaire.com. It's an unusual surname. It's F for Freddie, INKLAIRE. I think I'm the only Brigit Finklaire in the world, so you should be able to find me. But that's the website, and there's information about the Bone Circle, and there's a contact page. Now, just to say, the Bone Circle is in the process of being upgraded and going online, so it's not available at the moment, but please contact me and I can put you on the waiting list. At some point there may be a dedicated website called thebonecircle.com, but that's not available yet, but it's on its way, so watch this space.
And in the meantime, the website, the link to the website will be on the description box. And you
Perfect.
also watch the other interview with Brigit, where we take a look at her chart and what it means for her to have relocated to South Africa and how that has changed her life. So you can learn more about Brigit yet again. And also, there's more about the Bone Circle in there too. So the link will also be on the description box. In the meantime, do remember to subscribe. And next week, I will be speaking to Shelley Knight about bereavement. Until then, goodbye.